Well, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Recently, Chaplain Shadow's Hand of the Black Templars has threatened my sanity. So, in order to avoid the Templar's wrath, we are covering Helsreach by Dembski-Bowden today. The premise is as follows. Armageddon is going to be attacked by a massive fleet of orcs. The Imperium has deployed a massive amount of forces, but still the most likely outcome is the destruction of Armageddon and the death of all defending troops. One of these troops is Helsreach Grimaldus of the Black Templars. He has been placed in charge of 100 Astartes and tasked with the duty of defending Helsreach to the bitter end. The book then details the horrifically grim events of the Siege of Helsreach, from various guard regiments to the Titan legions of Invigilata, from the many fights and last stands to the politics between the various factions. But moreover, it covers the personal journey of Grimaldus as he has to come to terms with the role this universe has set for him. So how high of a price will the Imperials be able to sell their lives for? And will Grimaldus be able to find peace before the end? To discover that, you'll have to read this novel. The best thing about this novel is the character arc of the main character, Grimaldus. ADB is, among other things, well known for his very well developed Astartes characters, but this book probably does this better than any of his other novels. First of all, it is just a well executed character arc. Grimaldus starts off very much troubled, both by this assignment as well as his new role as Helsreach. His opinions and beliefs are then challenged and developed by the events and interactions that take place throughout the book. In a way, this arc is much more important to the reader than the actual outcome of the battle, just because of how much it means to Grimaldus and eventually to the reader as well. Moreover, as someone who has now read every ADB novel, I have to comment on how much more organically and interesting this character arc was handled. In almost every ADB book, the main Space Marine gets a supporting girl that talks to them. From these dialogues, we then learn more about the Marines. Instead, in this book, the Templar interacts with a wide variety of different characters, ranging from Battle Sisters to Salamanders and from Stormtroopers to Princeps. All of these characters have their own set of beliefs which regularly clash with those of the Black Templars, and then from these interactions we learn more about both, while also seeing how Grimaldus is affected and gradually changed by them. Altogether, this is a lot more natural and interesting, and while for those that have read many other ADB books, it's also a nice change of pace. Another thing I really liked was the interfaction politics on display in this novel. It is no secret that the Imperial war machine can be a bit clunky at times, with the Guard, Astartes and AdMac all being of similar authority. Throughout this book, the various factions are constantly bickering, threatening and hating on each other, while in the end also managing to fight together. It is very enjoyable to read about and also quite interesting to see how these things play out from a lore perspective. Furthermore, I highly enjoyed the very bleak and grim nature of this novel. Nowadays, with the Siege of Terra books and the more recent works by Aaron, this is no longer that noteworthy, but keep in mind, this book came out around 2010, and back then this did make the novel stand out. This too is a novel that details a hopeless siege defense, during which the protagonists slowly get torn apart. So if you like the Siege of Terra books, then this is definitely a recommendation. Then finally, what can I say? Expect the usual intense ADB writing style. As always, the combat and scenery descriptions are amazing. They're clear to the point, not overly wordy, and yet manage to convey a lot of imagery. The pace is fast, and events not important for the overall story just get skipped. And yes, as always, it is an emotional roller coaster, with intensely sad moments, super badass moments, and some humor in between. So, all in all, this novel unexpectedly gets 5 out of 5 Templars. Helsreach is a very grim and bleak siege novel, with an amazing character arc and a lot of interesting interfaction interactions, all topped off by ADB's typical writing style. That being said, I do want to say that I think this novel is somewhat overrated. It is very good, but a lot of the things that made it special have also been done better nowadays in books such as, for example, Saturnine or Echoes of Eternity. And I also really don't think this is the best ADB novel by any means. Books such as Spear of the Emperor or the Night Lord's Omnibus eclipse this one for sure. So while people very often bring this one up as one of the best 40k novels ever, I personally would recommend a decent chunk of other ADB books over this one. But anyways, that's what I got for you today. Have a nice evening, the book's link down below, and don't forget your 90 prayers to Nagash.